What's up, everybody? This is episode 41 of the Bocce Bros podcast. As always, thank you for the support and tuning in. We have a special guest for you guys, Mike Trivisonno from Cleveland, Ohio, specifically the Little Italy area of Cleveland, Ohio. He's been playing bocce for over 20 years, specifically at the Alta House, but many of you in the bocce circuit already know him. So he goes by Triv, the big Triv, Mikey Triv, how you doing? Just a great overall guy. We had an awesome conversation with Mike, talking all things bocce, including a recent topic that maybe hasn't hit social media yet, but I know it's floating around in text groups, which is, are there too many tournaments going on the same weekends? Would love to hear your guys' input. So that clip is probably something we'll share on social media, but if not, please give us a message, shoot us a message, just let us know what you guys think. But we have a lot of exciting things coming up. The Molisani 4-person tournament, aka quote-unquote the first major of the year, is this weekend. Love Club Molisani, one of my favorite spots, best community, one of the best communities out there. So we're really looking forward to getting up there and seeing all of you in person. We will be recording some in-person podcasts up there. So if you want to hop in the booth, just tap us on the shoulder. Just know you got to be entertaining. Don't come in there thinking, oh, I want to be in, and then the headset and mic appears and you get all quiet. We need some entertainment. We need excitement for the people. As always, guys, follow us on all social media platforms at the Bocce Bros, the #1 stop shop in America for your bocce. Often imitated, never duplicated. Peace out. Salute. Chindan. I remember. I think I was calling that game. I'm not sure.
No, it wasn't. It was when we weren't at.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah,
that's right.
It was in February or something.
Yes, I remember seeing that now because that was when we won our tournament. We were texting back and forth saying, good luck.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Make sure we each take home the title.
Just a couple soft flexes to start the show. That was when we won the tournament. When you won the tournament.
No, we watched you guys win it at the bar, and then we went and played.
That's awesome. I love that.
Yeah. What bar?
At MVR.
Duh. Yeah.
So this was the February tournament at MVR. Who was your team?
It was me, Batters, Marco, and Joe Palumbo.
Joey P. Shout out to Watertight.
Yeah. Oh, guy's awesome. Nothing but a good time with that guy.
And then what tournament were we? Was it the Florida tournament?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you guys were in Florida.
Yeah, would you ever think about going down and playing that one?
I would go heartbeat.
I mean, why not? It's a good time to get out of Ohio.
Once the Bocce Bros win a few. Bocce Bros won a few in Florida, so everybody's like, oh, well, why don't we go down to Florida?
Yeah, we could win that. I think it was like 60 teams in Florida.
Right. It's because everybody's always better.
Yeah.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in.
Dante's been here. Dante's been here before. Oh, sorry.
No, you're fine. I have been there before. Triv throws the Tribs the Tribs throw an amazing holiday party, Christmas party, I should say. Have a couple
Christmas ale themed.
Christmas ales. Yeah, they definitely have enough. Without a doubt. Called an Uber. Responsible.
Smart move.
All right, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. No, you're good. We'll try this one more time. This is the Bocce Bros podcast, America's one-stop shop for all things bocce. To my right, if you're watching, you see Dante giving the old DX sign, which there's a funny story behind that.
2 words for you. Sorry, continue on.
But we have a special guest here, Mike Trivisonno. Did I pronounce that correctly?
And Trivisonno. Yeah, it's pretty close, Chris. Thanks for having me.
Michael Trivisonno, how you doing?
How you doing?
Welcome to the Bocce Bros podcast.
This is the extra Bocce Bro today because it's just us two.
Yep.
And then Triv, so the third Bocce Bro this evening, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, I was an honorary Bocce Bro this past weekend, so we might as well just carry it on.
Yeah, you guys, thank you for repping the name. You guys could have been many team names. The fact that you're just kind of, it was supposed to be the NWO Bros or the NW Bros. I was originally supposed to be me, you, Anthony Cugini, and Joe Palumbo. I got a wedding invite, and good buddy couldn't miss that one. And I know you guys got a better alternate, I would say, with Tony Melorano Jr. It's in the name, but we appreciate you repping the name.
We'll go into it. What tournament was it?
Glad to be a part of it.
What tournament was it? It was the Memorial, the few one-day tournaments there are in our area, really around any area because there's so many teams, it's hard to fit a tournament in one day. But Wickliffe, Ohio has 9 courts covered under pavilion, so they're able to get something like this done. I think 51 teams this year. Triv, can you were in this conversation, you were the only one there, so we're going to rely on you for some information.
Yeah, I believe it was 51 teams. It's funny you mentioned 9 courts. Not one of them are all similar to the other. Pretty impressive.
That's tough.
It's tough to do. I mean, it's tough to be consistent. We've been to places where there's 2 or 3 courts, and it's tough to have them all roll.
So
consistently.
9. That's frustrating. I understand. That's for sure. I know a lot of people share that sentiment.
I mean, but again, everybody plays on the same court, so it doesn't really matter.
Right. Who can adjust the quickest in a lot of fashions. That's like
Right.
in Vegas. Oh boy, it's some balls stop and roll backwards, and it's very frustrating. But everyone plays on the same court. I get it.
I remember at the Cleveland Challenge Cup, I was like walking around. I'm like, all right, this court does this, and that court does that. Just like trying to like scout the courts, and then I'd get on them, and none of it was true. So I was like, all right, let's just go out there, feel the court, and figure out what adjustments you need to make.
Real quick, shout out to, you were talking about trying to get a feel like, court 1 does this, court 2. Shout out to my dad, Merle Lovell Jr. He at the MVR when they added the courts, he has a little graph he made on what each end does, and on each court.
Yeah.
He's gonna hate me for giving away his secrets, but that's the truth.
It's hilarious. It's smart though.
Without a doubt.
We'll need that for Carmstrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Mike, why don't you touch a little bit on, for those of you guys who don't know, Mike has been playing bocce for over 20 years. Most of that, or all of that, was at the Alta House, right, Mike?
Yeah, that's where it all began. So, I started working at the Alt House when I was a pup, 18, 19 years old, and they always had bocce down there. So growing up, you always would see the old timers playing, be like, it's bocce. I'd rather go hit a baseball or something. Then you start working there, and you're there every day, and next thing you know, you're playing every day.
So walk us through, as an 18-year-old, you're on the hill, and during that time, you're 18, 19, like you said. Who are those people that are kind of running the Alta House at that time? And you mentioned working at the Alta House. What does that entail? And sorry if that's a dumb question.
Well, so you broke up a little bit. So what do you?
The first question was like, when you're 18 and 19, from your perspective, like how was it going around the Alta House? Like who was the head honchos or the people that kind of ran things? And then on the second question was, what was the second question?
In regards to him working there, what does that entail?
Oh yeah, what do you do when you work there?
So the head honcho, I mean, Sapulo was always working there. Sapulo worked there. Sapulo was the Alt House back in the day. So I've been with him for, he was, God, since I was a baby, I've known Sapulo. So he was working at the Alt House. I was working there. Sean Sweeney, you guys probably don't know him. He was working up there too. And then a couple other folks, Ray Christosic, guys you would know if you saw, but you probably don't know them.
Right.
So I worked there. I kind of ran the recreation programming. So, the Alt House has a basketball court, weight room, bocce courts. So we kind of ran all the youth programming and senior and adult programming there. So that was kind of, the day-to-day operations up there.
Gotcha. Yeah.
It was interesting.
Yeah, well, the reason I ask is a lot of people in the bocce community know the Alta House. They're known for the 45 degrees or the great atmosphere, the Little Italy, the restaurants. But they don't know what else the Alta House actually provides to the community. So I think it's we've talked about it with Tripollo on.
Absolutely.
But it probably doesn't get mentioned enough. So I thought that was good to mention.
No, yeah, there's a lot. I mean, there's a lot that goes on in that place. I mean, not as much as there used to be. That population has kind of changed down there.
Mm-hmm.
With a lot of the older population just kind of moving along, but
yeah.
I mean, it was hopping back in the day. I was born there. My grandparents lived there forever. My mom still lives there. My sister still lives there. So we've been in that neighborhood our whole lives.
Love it. I was on vacation in April. We were in Barbados at an all-inclusive, and we met this guy from Kansas City, he and his wife, and I explained where I was from and where I went to college. He goes, he was from New York. He's like, I went to school in Cleveland for a few years, and I worked for the Corbos for 4 of those. They always called me the Irishman or the non-Italian in the back. And he's like, yeah, and I used to box at this place down the street called the Alta House.
That's great.
Probably expecting me not to know what the Alta House is. I was like, oh, funny you say that. And like I showed him all the videos, and he was just like mind blown about the whole thing. And then we also touched on Lake Chautauqua, which is where Dante and I frequent a buddy's place quite often. We play golf there, and he grew up in near Chautauqua, so it was just a funny small world story there, which is cool. We're actually staying in Little Italy next week for the Molisani tournament.
Oh, the first big
nice.
big turn. I shouldn't say the first big tournament of the year, but the one that a lot of people look forward to.
Yeah.
First
Major.
quote unquote major.
Yeah, if you will. Triv, who we? I'm assuming you're playing in this tournament.
I am playing. It's kind of a random team. Well, playing with batters Joe Palumbo and Carl Greenaway.
Great team.
Yeah, we'll see. Those courts are the ultimate equalizer.
Yeah, I completely agree. So Club Molisani, this is the Club Molisani Open held this year, June 7th through 9th, I believe. And there's been a lot of flight tournaments more recently, around in different areas other than Ohio. There's a lot more like a round robin. This tournament is double elimination all the way through, similar to the Cleveland Challenge Cup. So Friday night is the beginning of it. I don't know if everyone plays the game. I'm assuming yes, with 6 courts, all synthetic. But it should be a good time. I don't know how many teams this year. 91, 93, 94?
I'm not sure.
Somewhere around that, which is, again, amazing. If you think, take that times 4 a person. The place is going to be packed.
Yeah, that's going to be fun.
We have some surprises. We're not going to announce right now, but some great podcast episodes that are going to be recorded at Club Molisani with some great folks that will be frequenting and visiting the club. So we're excited for that. But,
and we plan to have a podcast next week. We're going to reach out to some of the gents from Molisani just to give us a little bit of a rundown, a little background on who's playing and some of the favorites and stuff like that. So stay tuned for that. Before we get any further, though, we did touch on the Wycliffe INA Memorial 4-person bocce tournament. I want to shout out real quick Frank DeSillo, our boy Pino Rosati, Dave Meloragno, and Pete Meloragno. Those guys took the W. I forget which Meloragno.
It was Pete.
Yeah, Pete.
Pete, first of all, spry as ever, climbing the ladder to grab the belt with Pino trying to guide him. However, he's just going up there with ease.
Yeah,
like no care in the world. I love it.
But Mike, what was your takeaway from that? I know you. We mentioned already who your team was. You guys lost a tough one. We have to give Cugini some smack.
A lot of people talking about Cugini's last ball.
A lot. We got a lot of texts, a lot of messages.
People were FaceTiming me.
They're like, "Is he okay?"
Someone's daughter was crying in the stands.
There's always that one shot every tournament that everyone remembers.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. But what was how'd the tournament go? I don't know if you have any takeaways, any buddy that stood out, any teams that stood out, any upsets. Give us your rundown on it.
It's tough in Wycliffe because we like to do our thing and hang out a little bit in the parking lot, do a little tailgating and stuff. But I was a little surprised ABV went 1-2. That was probably one of my biggest shockers. But this is their first real tournament they played together this year. But how about AJ D'Annunzio? Back-to-back weekend, second place, different team, both tournaments. He's been playing some good bocce lately. Not to take anything away from Frank and that crew. Obviously they played remarkable to go undefeated. But, good for AJ. AJ's back on the scene.
AJ is, like you just said, he's the talk of he's the buzz right now. And he's in the singles tournament coming up this weekend. There's 3 tournaments this weekend, which we'll dive into all that, all that jazz. But there's a singles tournament at Jerry's World. 4 flights, I believe, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Saturday, yeah. Morning and evening.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm in the Saturday morning bracket, and if I am able to get lucky and get a win in my first game, I would face AJ D'Annunzio. So take a dive.
Well, hold on. Let's get back to that. I don't think you're going to be playing AJ D'Annunzio Saturday morning.
Oh, wait, is he not? Is he in a different bracket?
AJ's in a different state. So actually, AJ's coming out of town with us this weekend. We're going to Pittsburgh to see Kenny Chesney. So,
great country artist. Great country artist. So who am I thinking of then?
I have no idea. If it's AJ, it could be Jerry's nephew, AJ.
I don't know. Well, we'll talk about that offline.
Okay. Yeah, sorry.
So I've been I've kind of been MIA a little bit. I haven't played since maybe February in regards to tournament play. AJ D'Annunzio, and I apologize, AJ, if you're listening. Mike, you said it was good for him to be back. I don't know if I've met AJ yet, or maybe I have.
So
what was going on there?
You had he's the only guy at Bocce taller than me.
You have, yeah.
You definitely met him. He used to play a lot, then kind of took a couple years off, and now he's back in it. He's
Okay, good.
everyone
Love
takes
that.
their little sabbatical.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember when we first started, there were a few guys like Dante Delicio. I think he had his first child around then, so he was out for a little bit, as well as several other guys like Lou Nacera. He took a break, and then one of our podcasts got him out of retirement. Shout out to Lou. So yeah, there were several guys that we got to meet that have a lot of history in the game. It's just we didn't know because we were still so new to it. So
Yeah, we got a lot of shit for it too. Like, the Bocce Bros don't know the history. It's like, yeah, well, no duh. We just started doing this.
Yeah,
and we're writing down the history.
Exactly. we're doing our best to create it. We started a Google Doc sheet within the Bocce Bros of all of the major tournaments. We reached out to all the clubs. As far back as they could remember, or whatever they have documented. That way we can post it and people could actually see, hey, who won this year, or who has the most.
Dating back to the 70s and 80s.
Yeah.
For the World Series, at least. Challenge. Yeah, we're getting them all.
Jeez.
Yeah. It's been a minute since we recorded.
Before our time.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
All right.
Way before. Anyway, sorry, Chris. Go ahead.
No, you're good. I was just going to mention that it's been a little bit since our last podcast. I think our last podcast was with Lou, which was a great one. A lot of good feedback on that.
And then we played an April Fool's joke. That's how long it's been. Wow, it's the off season,
Yeah.
And then shortly after that podcast, we played an April Fool's joke saying the Bocce Bros broke up. Got a lot of people, which even the USBF reposted a day later saying thanks for everything. Not realizing what day it was.
Yeah. Even our closest friends.
Yeah. So that was a good little prank.
But, usually on our podcast, we like to show you guys who won previous tournaments and with just how many tournaments there are, which will segue into our next topic. It's just tough to read them off. But I do want to mention one thing, which I loved, was the Club Molisani 3-person tournament. Croce, Russ Melaragno, and Russ Maraglio, and Pete Melaragno, they won, but Russ wore this shirt that said "not good enough," and he was pointing to it. Do any of you guys know the backstory behind that?
I mean, I know a little bit of the backstory. I'm not going to really dive into it because I don't want to hurt too many feelings. But
you don't even have. Yeah,
they call Russ NGE, not good enough. I think it was more of an inside joke, and just it might have got taken a little out of context. Russ just found himself as the odd man out this year with a lot of teams, and maybe he based his own opinion, or maybe someone just told him he's not good enough. But so far this year, Russ has been proven he's pretty damn good.
I love it. Yeah, especially after all the second place finishes that Russ found himself in, which is impressive in its own freaking right.
Yeah.
And then gets over that hump, and also not to mention who he beat. A pretty good team with the best player in the country on that team. I don't know if they had to win twice. I can't remember, Triv. Maybe you recall, but regardless.
They did.
Okay, so yeah, that's pretty impressive. They also had Pat Peasant, who's one of the best in Canada right now. Shout out to that team. I forget the third. I really apologize. I think we have a picture of it. Maybe not. Nonetheless, what were we saying? We were segueing into too many tournaments, but before we do, another tournament we got to shout out is a three-peater, and it's tough to do in a singles tournament, no matter the singles tournament. And that's Joe Zazar, the NEO Singles, NEO Sports Complex out in Euclid. It's tough. This year I know it was a different pool of players. Now, you don't have some of the regulars because there's so many other tournaments going on, but it was still a large pool of great players. Some of the best around the circuit, and Joe Zazar ending up winning 3 in a row is highly impressive. Shout out to Joe.
Absolutely. Most people I'm sure have played in singles tournaments, and it's definitely not easy, especially on the body. So to do that 3 years in a row is highly impressive. No shocker, ABC Premier High Stakes doubles tournament. Jose Boto took the W with Jason W. I don't.
I don't know. We didn't finish updating the website. It'll be finished today because there's a lot of tournaments missing. But I don't know how to spell his last name. I'm sorry, Jason. I apologize. But yeah, big surprise. However, they played what a great game. Shout out to that whole tournament. I know we wanted to play in it. Just we had our mother's retirement, which shout out to Lucia.
Yeah.
Her last day is this Friday. 39 years of service at probate court in Youngstown, Mahoning County.
Yep.
God bless her, because I don't know if I could ever work in one spot or work for 39 years in general.
Yeah, she worked her tail off and was very successful. So that weekend we surprised her at work. They threw her a party, and then we took her out to dinner. And then Saturday we had a nice picnic for her. So shout out to Lucia Lovell. Congratulations.
Sorry to get segued there, but it was talking about what we were talking about. Jose and Jason. And yes, European. There was some. This is an international tournament, if you will, because there were some teams out from Europe, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know the area. I don't know how many teams. I just know that they didn't make it to the finals. And what does that say? And I have to shout out Big E for bringing this topic up. But what does that say for our style of play, our players? Does that give us more chance in the PRV situation in internationals? I think it says something. We've heard a lot of shit over the years about PRV is the most purest form. Those are the best players. However, you see teams who are able to switch into both.
Yeah.
Granted, the teams that were in the top finals do play PRV a lot.
Right, which makes sense.
Yeah.
But, he was surprised to see that the Europeans struggled. And he asked, is that promising for our players' skill level here if PRV becomes more prominent in the global stage? So, thank you, Big E, as always, for your input. But a lot of big tournaments happened. If you guys want to look those up, theboccibros.com, you can look at the past champion. Shout out to Dante for always updating that. One day maybe I'll help. But that segues to our next topic, Mike. We've been in a few bocce chats, text message chats, and a topic of conversation as of late is the amount of bocce tournaments being held each weekend, right? So like last weekend, I think there were 3 or more. This upcoming weekend, there's 3. I looked at next weekend, there's a few more. And my initial thoughts were, well, if they're being filled, what's the big deal? Especially if they're throughout the country, then that really doesn't matter. But if they're being filled, why would anybody care? But somebody brought up a good point that it takes away from league play during the week. So a lot of people don't want to play in league plays anymore because they're playing in a bocce tournament every weekend. And it could dilute some tournaments.
Yeah.
So I wanted to get your thoughts on that if you have any.
So I was playing. I'm going to go back on you guys. I mean, when I was 21, 22, we were playing in these tournaments in Youngstown.
40 years ago.
Youngstown, PA. Right, yeah. And, they were struggling to get 16 teams, and it was the only tournament of that weekend. And, it's just the way that it's evolved, it's almost – you almost have to. Everybody has their own club. Everybody has their own thing. It's tough to – you can't take away from somebody just for somebody else is the way I look at it. So, I mean, everybody's going to have their tournaments. I help run the Sapulo tournament. Last year there was 2 other tournaments, I think, that same weekend. And, we took a little hit. But this year, no other tournaments, and you sell out. It's just one of those things. It's a calendar, and it's tough because you want to play in them all, but you can't. And then it's tough to choose which one to play in.
Yeah.
So I mean, everybody. It's just such a bigger game and such a bigger sport anymore that it's, you have to expect it, I guess.
Mm-hmm. It seems like the bigger organizations or tournaments do a decent job at avoiding each other's dates. I know last year it was the World Series and JAC collided. It was just because it was the
Mount Carmel
and JAC. And it just happens on those dates because Mount Carmel has the Italian festival. But like there's these tournaments that were like I notice, and I agree with everything Chris said. You have like a bigger tournament, going on, and then in Cleveland, and then a smaller tournament, maybe let's say at Crickets in Youngstown. If they fill out, and then who cares?
Right.
As long as they fill out, there's different pools. There's different pools of talent where people don't want to travel to Jerry's World because there's too many good teams there. They don't want to get whacked, so they stay. And there's a smaller one.
Exactly.
We should start doing that so we could win.
Yeah. Hey,
The old
we're good.
the old big fish, small pond.
Yeah, that's a great way. But it's just tough. It's tough. It's like there's no golden answer. That's a good point though. So
I see both sides. I still lean towards as long as people aren't stepping on each other's toes with the bigger tournaments. If there's smaller ones that go on, then go ahead and do that. It's one of the reasons why we started the schedule, was so people could review that and say, hey, I want to throw a tournament this month. Are there any open weekends? Are there any weekends where maybe there's a tournament in Ashtabula, but I know a lot of my home crowd's not going to go up there, so let me have one in Youngstown.
Mm-hmm. I just pulled up that schedule, and I'm realizing I realized that there's a couple tournaments this weekend. I guess we did mention that, but there's the 2-man at IMBS, which is a big one. There's only one court there, so it slightly limits them. However, they have a lot of teams, I believe, in their flights, and they sold out in record time. You have Jerry's World, the singles tournament, which is sold out, I believe, 12 in each flight. And then what else do we have here?
There's the NEO.
Oh, my Lord. There's the NEO 3-person. And then is that Boardman Girls Golf Fundraiser? I don't know if that's still going on. Nonetheless.
It is. They just drew for it.
Okay, wow. So technically 4 tournaments.
Yeah.
If you include the women's tournament as well. Yeah, crazy. It is crazy. But somehow they're all filled. Some I do understand. Like I hear a lot of people like, oh well, they're stepping on our toes. They put on our dates. Like, what do you want them to do? They can't. Not everyone can play in the singles tournament.
Right.
So
Yeah, I could see if it's a big tournament like JEC, one of the MVR ones, one of the Molisani ones, but those bigger ones, people understand. Especially if you're, an avid player like we are, those are the ones that you're going to want to go to anyway. And if for some reason you can, or what's up?
Oh no, keep going.
If for some reason you can't, or whatever the case may be, you have these other tournaments. So another question we got asked. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I'm gonna actually jump. I'm gonna cut you off for a second and jump back to you guys doing that calendar. I mean, that calendar is actually very beneficial. So in a couple weeks, shout out to myself. We're running that co-ed tournament at Mayfield Heights. Without your calendar, I wouldn't have been able to pick a date that they're. I mean, granted, it's in unison with a cart festival that they do up here, but if the weekend was open and I saw it, so we took advantage of it. We're sitting at 28, 29 teams right now.
Perfect.
Capping it at 32. So hopefully we get a couple last minute signups. Maybe a couple people listening want to jump into this 4-person co-ed.
So how would they reach out to you if they want to do that?
They can Facebook, text message, email. I mean, all the info's on Bocce Underground. I've posted it a couple times. I'm actually going to put another post up, for last call before we kind of close it out and get everything rolling.
Awesome. Another question we got asked: tourneys in the summer that have the most hype. So what are some tourneys? Obviously, the MVR.
Well, I say you go in order. So starting with Molisani.
Sorry, that's what I meant. Molisani.
You can hit the majors up, right?
So you have Molisani. You have World Series in Rome. You have the Cleveland Challenge Cup. You have the Carmstrong. I also like including JEC there because that's a top 2 tournament for me. So Triv, what are your thoughts on that? How would you rank them? And there's no disrespect to any club here because I think everybody knows they're all amazing tournaments. It's just preference of, the culture, what you like. Obviously your home spots are going to be your favorites.
Well, of course. I mean, naturally, the JAC tournament is the best tournament of the year to me. A lot of time and hard work goes into that. Shout out to Dennis and Sapulo, and Tim Trepeppi. Between the 4 of us, we kind of put on quite the weekend down there. So obviously that's my favorite tournament. Great atmosphere. You can walk down the street, go get a pizza. I can walk down the street and go see my mom. I mean,
that's great.
What's better than playing in your hometown where you were born?
Absolutely.
I like the outdoor tournaments. So like Wycliffe is probably next up to me. I just prefer outdoor tournaments in the summer. Maybe that's just me. I don't know. I mean, I'm a big guy. I like to sweat. I mean, I sweat, but it is what it is. But I mean, they're all fun. I can't think of a tournament I've played in that I haven't had a great time at. So
Yeah.
it's tough to really, rank them. However, I
Right.
have never been to Rome, so um,
I
not
think
once.
same, and we really want to go. It's I think the first few years we started playing, it fell on the Mount Carmel date, and we have affiliations there, so we tend to pick that one. Um, definitely on our calendar. We want to get out there. Everybody we've met has been super polite to us.
100%.
We've heard some good things. So if in regards to hype, I would equally put. I don't want to hurt feelings. I would equally put.
Who cares?
Right.
I like Cleveland Challenge Cup more because I know more people there, but I would probably put Cleveland Challenge Cup and Rome there just because they have so many courts,
100 plus teams.
100 plus teams.
Right.
Probably more history is there. Where like the Armstrong, they're building their history. They're 11, 12 years into it. They added a couple courts. They just had 100 teams. They continue to evolve to figure out what's going to work best for them. Like this year, they're moving it to Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and they're ending on Saturday as opposed to
That's
ending
a
on
big issue,
Sunday.
but yeah.
So, some of the other tournaments are a little younger, but still the hype is always there for these.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you said, I don't know. It's any tournament that's big, it's easy to hype up, and you're going to get the best players, you're going to get the best teams, and you're going to have a good time. It's you know, you could go 2-and-out. You can go 2-and-out in any of those tournaments and still have a great time.
Yeah, when we first started, we took advantage of that. It's like you kind of have to.
Got to crawl before you can walk, right?
Right, exactly. All right, what else do we have here? Sorry, my notes are all scrambled a bit.
We have whatever we want.
So I got one.
Yeah.
Let me throw one at you guys here.
Love
That
it.
you guys through your April 1st April Fool's joke of the Bocce Bros breaking up, which any person with sort of a brain would know that was fake. But let's say that was real. Which Bocce Bro would be the most recruited Bocce Bro on the Bocce circuit?
What a good question. Not Cugini.
We like giving Cooge shit whether he's here or not.
We have a famous quote we heard. Cugini, give me your phone. I'll pick 10 people. I bet you 9 of them don't like you.
Dude, Eric is so wild. He walks in unannounced in our Airbnb in Lowville.
Oh God.
We're all like we're barely getting up.
Power's out.
Power's out. Yeah, there was a storm that rolled through, and he just starts going at Anthony. He's like, Cugini, give me your phone. He's like, I'll pick 10 people. I bet 9 don't like you. I was like, Jesus Christ. Obviously, yeah, Cooge is awesome. I think it's Dante and Anthony. Obviously, they play in the most tournaments. I'd say they're the more well-rounded players in regards to tournament play. Dante, I mean, they've both been asked to play a lot, but if I had to pick one, it'd be Dante because he's my brother.
Yeah, well, that's so sweet.
Who would you pick up?
Yeah. Oh, good question.
Oof. I mean, I guess it would depend on the tournament and what I'm looking for and who the rest of the guys are.
Right. If you need a hitter, you're gonna go for Chris. That's just
Absolutely.
plain and simple.
And if short, if you want someone that's going to be rocking some short shorts or some Fila gear, you're going to go with Chris.
Yeah, if you want to increase the looks of your team, you go. Yeah, you go any of the Bocce Bros. Actually, I don't.
We're leaving Nooch out. Feel bad, but Carmen. No, he's great looking. That's not that. I'm saying he just doesn't play in tournaments that often.
He takes a sabbatical every year.
Hey, smart.
I'll say if you need a pointer,
he's married, right?
Yeah. Oh, he's going to be married. He's getting married in July, I think.
Yeah, and one of these months coming up.
Yeah. If you need a pointer on synthetic, I'd probably go with Cooge. I mean, you're a great pointer, obviously, but
I agree. I agree. Go with
he played with those guys last year and won. I mean, they beat us. But that was actually the fall one they won, right? It wasn't the
yeah. Who gives a shit? Let's not even talk about it.
Yeah, they won that fall tournament. We should have beat them, but that's a whole other topic.
They beat us,
and
too.
they beat us.
Yeah.
Whatever.
They beat both of us.
It happens. You know what? I'm going to stick up for Cugini for a second here too. For Eric to say, if you get 10 people in your phone, 9 won't like him. I mean, what's that rate for Eric? I'm guessing it's got to be the same or higher. If
Right.
We don't have enough time in this podcast.
no, yeah, we're not. That's all the love he gets. We'll keep. We don't want him to think we're talking him up.
Oh my God! So what are you looking forward to? It's about to. I just looked at the calendar, and it's about to heat up. I haven't been in a tournament since April, beginning of April with Molisani 3 person, and there's just tournament after tournament after tournament coming up. What are you looking forward to the most? I know you said, other than JEC, I know that's obviously set in stone.
Oh man, tournament wise, I mean, obviously Wycliffe. I love Wycliffe too. It's a great place to play. I'm looking forward to this tournament that we're running in Mayfield too, to be honest with you. And I know I'm running and I'm tooting my own horn and whatever, but they haven't run the Mayfield tournament up here for a long time. If you remember, Molisani used to run that tournament before they had their place in Wycliffe. They would have that big I don't remember what they even called it. It was one of the Challenge Cups, and they moved it down, and they really haven't run a tournament this size since. So I'm looking forward to putting that back on the map. Hopefully, we can get it started this year and grow it year by year.
Is there? Sorry to interrupt you. Is there a cause for this tournament? I know there was something behind it, right?
No, so we're just calling it. So they do it's called the Mayfield Heights Unity Days.
Okay.
So it's a 2.5-day festival. Just carnival food, games, rides, things like that. And it takes place in the Mayfield Park, and the park has 8 bocce courts in it.
Jeez,
are they the best courts in the world? No, but I mean,
you said 8?
Yeah, it's
oh
8.
Lord.
Yes, 5 are covered, 3 are outside. So it's just trying to bring it back. That night we have to end it by 8:00 on Saturday night because they have fireworks at 9:30, which are right by the bocce courts.
Mm-hmm.
But it'll be fun to bring that back.
Yeah, it doesn't stop the Alta House from lighting fireworks.
Oh well, that's
Oh,
that's
not them, actually.
I'm still coughing from the smoke from last year's Saputo tournament.
Yeah, that wasn't even Alta House. That was just random kids that walked by. I remember they tried.
Yeah, we don't know who they were.
Yeah, weird.
Yeah,
really weird.
Maybe they'll catch him next year.
Yeah, I love it. My favorite is the Alta House secret gym days, the open gyms that they have on Sundays every now and then. It's hard to get invited, but I know Chris played once. I had a torn Achilles. I'm hoping to get invited now that it's back.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll invite us. We just have to get up there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was fun. Mike, you
I
played
get invited every week. I did. I mean, I'm kind of winding down on my basketball career.
It's tough.
You hit that 4th decade of your life, and that's it. It's you think about the weird things. Oh, what if I sprain an ankle? What if I blow out a knee?
It's real.
That's why we stick to old man sports, golf and bocce.
Hey man, that's it.
Are you a golfer?
I try.
We'll leave it at that.
I try.
We will leave it.
I'm not the worst. I'm not the worst in the world. Definitely, I'm not very good. I'm not Marco. I don't know what Marco said. He was a 2 handicap or whatever when he was on there one
Marco
time.
Orlando, our the Bocce Bros in-house magician, is really good at golf. And sometimes I look at his Snap story, and he's just golfing, not even working or tending to his newborn child. So that's just I just find that odd.
Yeah, since we're talking about golf, when you talk about bocce and golf, I don't know if you guys ever golfed with Tim Trepepi.
Didn't I or didn't we?
We did not, but
he used to be like Tiger Woods. I mean, and now he's older and doesn't play as much, but
we golf next to him.
Yeah.
Guy could smash the ball.
Yeah, he.
We mentioned it earlier, Lake Chautauqua.
Yeah. He's told me stories about how he used to play. He tries to be humble brag about it, but
yeah. Hey, we're all guilty of that sometimes.
Absolutely. 100%. If you're good, you're good, man. I mean, I've heard stories about him, right. So yeah. I would love to do a bocce golf outing. I know Molisani, they have their golf outing.
Stick with their bocce team. It has to be bocce players in the circuit. And
that'd be fun.
Yeah, so you have to play with batters, Joe Palumbo, Carl Greenway.
I'd love to play golf with Joe. I'm sure he's a riot out there.
Oh, I would have. Yeah.
Batters will tell you how good he is at golf, and then not be able to hit the ball.
Shout out to Billy and Mayfield Smoke Shop. Great people. I have to talk about something that Kujini and I will be traveling to this upcoming month in June. Part of the Wild Tour that's coming up is the USBF Nationals, Monday through Saturday or Monday through Sunday. They have a tournament each day. This year, I don't know, maybe they changed their mind, so I don't. Some USB folks could correct me in the comments like they usually do. They have a couple tournaments that are qualifiers, meaning if you win, place gold, quote unquote, you then qualify to play and represent America in the World's Bocce or World of Bocce, whatever it may be called. I think it's in Argentina at, next year or this year, not sure. But regardless, I know they have a singles tournament, PRV, doubles tournament, PRV, mixed doubles, PRV, and then they have the shooting contest as well as the open tournaments, so how we're used to on the weekend. And believe it or not, this year, Cugini and I are only going for the PRV tournaments. We are not playing in any of the open tournaments, just trying to win a PRV tournament and bounce out of there. Would definitely love to win one of those tournaments, without a doubt. But, we don't practice as much in that.
I mean, yeah.
Thoughts on that? What are your thoughts on PRV, Mike? I want to hear you.
I mean, I don't know, man. It's not my thing. It's not my thing. I kind of like the way we play. I mean, I understand it's, the international recognition. I don't know. I don't need the international recognition. I'd rather have the recognition at a bar. It's
That's hilariously accurate. I completely agree. We have enough folks who play our style, who recognize our style, that we don't need to be recognized by any formal to get the recognition clearly. So I agree with you.
Right.
Chris?
I mean, those PRV guys walked in. If they walked into Wycliffe, we wouldn't even know who they were.
Yeah. Yeah, I get that. For sure.
It's always something I wanted to try, especially the tournament. I think it's cool how it's a week long. Obviously, it's tough for a lot of people to get to, but it's nice how, you could pick and choose which ones you want to play.
Mm-hmm.
So, Where's it at this year? You said St.
This year, and I think next year is going to be back-to-back years in St. Louis. There's not many places in America that can host the Nationals because of their rules. I think California has a spot, Campo de Bocce, and then you have St. Louis here at the Italia America Club, and then there's Chicago, which is Highwood. Shout out to Highwood Bocce. Has a venue and maybe one more, so there's not many venues in America that are able to actually even host the Nationals.
Yeah, which is why it's tough to try and play it. I mean, if there's no access, I mean, it's difficult enough to try and play bocce unless you're from Northeast Ohio. There's a court on every street. But yeah, actually, I wanted to bring up. I have to shout him out. I know I'm changing the subject, but I was in New York last week for work, and I was in Long Beach, and I hit up Mike Lisi. I'm like, hey, where do you live? I'm going to be up there. I know New York's huge. And he was literally like 10 minutes away from my hotel. So he's like, come over,
Wait, talk like him again? That was pretty good, actually.
That's all I got.
Come over.
So as soon as I landed, I texted him. He's like, I'll order pizza. My boy will be here, and I'm going to get some guys to play. So I Ubered to his house, and like you said, he had pizza. I had to try. I told him I wanted New York pizza. So Columbus doesn't have the best pizza, so I was excited.
Nope. Sure
but we smoked a stogie first. We ate a pizza, and then we played bocce. He has a bocce court in his backyard, which is a beautiful yard, beautiful house. Shout out to Mike. His wife made some chocolate chip cookies that were outstanding.
Sounds like a dream.
Yeah, it was awesome. And I'm gonna try their last names, but he had Frank Giacoloni there, Joe. Trevor Nessie and Kyle Erdhart.
All good folks, man. They came to Lorenzino's recently. Those are the guys. They travel.
So I think two of those guys didn't. The one guy,
Kyle.
Yeah,
Kyle. I've seen Kyle a lot.
Is it Kyle?
Yeah. Well, I think I've seen all of them. I've seen them.
Oh yeah, yeah.
At least me. I travel.
Yeah, sorry. But we had a blast. It was 2-on-2. We won, Kyle and I. So. Take that, Mike.
Very nice.
No, it was a great time. What I loved most about it was the New York accent and busting balls.
That's all it is, the whole conversation.
Because you think, I'm a youngish person. I always joke around with my friends, and those guys are, in their 50s, maybe their 60s, and just the busting of balls it was hilarious. It was so funny to me. So I just wanted to make sure I shouted them out.
Sounds like a great time.
Mike's good people. That's just, I mean, we always say it every episode, but this game always brings people together, and the community is amazing. But Mike's, we need to get out to New York. We need to see Lockport too. All those guys. Hard to travel.
Right. You can't do everything, but it was funny when I told my coworkers, because they were going to dinner. They're like, "What are you going to do?" I'm like, "Oh, I have a buddy here," and they're like, "Oh, how do you know him?" I was like, "Through bocce," and they're from Columbus. They don't really know what bocce is, or like they know what bocce is, but they're like, bocce. What do you mean? So I had to explain to them like the whole process. But they looked at me all goofy, like, how did you meet some random guy playing bocce?
It's that meme of the guy screaming in the girl's ear at the club. Yeah, it's the Bocce Bros.
Yeah.
We're 4 guys who play bocce.
She's like, she's not paying attention to him. Yeah.
Repost that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. It's funny when you think about that because everybody does know what bocce is, but they don't really know what bocce is. A lot of people, people ask me at work all the time, "Oh, you playing bocce again this weekend?" "Yeah, I am. What are you doing?"
Yeah.
Like, it's
So what?
Yeah. What are you going to do? Father your son?
right.
Play ball in the backyard?
Oh man.
I wanted to ask you, what are some gripes you have? Any any tea out there you want to share?
Do you care about the line issue? What? Yeah, I want to hear.
I want something, because when we started the podcast a couple of years ago, we tried to be. We don't want to throw anybody out there or anything like that, but
you got to walk on eggshells, man. Some people are so sensitive about what people say on the show, and it's so annoying at this point because it's bocce. One, who gives a bleep it out. And two, they don't mean any harm about what they say. It's just saying how not they just feel, but other people feel. Some people get too overreactive about it, and it is what it is. But
like us talking about the tournaments, I'm sure somebody doesn't have the same viewpoint as we do, which is completely fine. But we're just we're talking about it. It's just
right. Hey, we're allowed to talk about it.
The
Let me
NW
start. Let me start with the NW pros. The line. Let's start the line since you mentioned the line. I really don't give a shit about the line. I mean, it's like steroids in baseball. You still got to hit the ball. I mean, it's my thought is as long as you're consistent with it. Hey, if you're starting all the way at the back wall, I'm not going to name individual. Okay, I'll name a couple people. Stu, I don't really care. Stewie's my boy. He takes a lot of steps. He ends up over the line. Sure, something behind the line, whatever. But I mean, I don't really think that 1 or 2 feet that people want to argue about is really changing you hitting the ball or not.
Yeah.
I'm going to pick on Nick Ottavani.
Yeah.
Ottavani, yeah. Yeah, I'm going to pick on him a little bit too. He goes way over the line, but but he's consistent. He starts at the back wall and he goes over the line. I don't know. To me, if you're going to bitch and moan about people going over the line, you better bitch and moan about every single person going over the line. You can't just pick and choose who it is, because there's just as many people that don't think they do that go over the line. I don't even look at the line.
Right.
It's you're shooting the ball.
I kind of disagree with you, respectfully.
No, please. I like it.
I'm 6'1" and some change, and if I can start at the back wall and not go over the line, I don't think anybody else has the reason to. Like at our club, we do front foot, has to be.
Oh, and they hate if you're on the line, man. They ram at you. I get it.
So it's like I just had to change my steps and figure that out, and it's not that difficult to do it. But I think if it's a foot or two is, I think, a lot. I mean, you're already getting 10 feet on a 60 to 70 foot court. I personally just think that's outrageous. I don't think you should be able to do that if you're consistently over. If it's once or twice, then all right,
if
whatever.
It's egregious, it will allow you to see balls you were unable to see if you were to follow the actual.
Now that is 100% true. If you're giving yourself an advantage because of it, then it's one thing. But I mean, if
hard to police.
I'm not going to have a microscope out there and be like, "Hey, your shoelace was,"
exactly. But then what's the answer? You're going to sit there and line foul, and then
you would have
to
hire
a fight.
Yep.
Right.
Hey,
I mean, we never call anybody out. I'm, just going to bitch about it and move on.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
we have a platform. We're going to use it to bitch. So.
Yeah, absolutely. It's, I used to. So playing back in the day at the Alt House, we were advanced for what the old timers and stuff knew down there. So I mean, I was under a microscope constantly when I would shoot the ball, and I don't even go over the line. But my momentum will carry me over once I release the ball. But I mean, I've been taking it for years, so I don't really. I mean, a line's a line. I just it's. But when you do get an advantage from, being 6 feet ahead in front of the line, I mean, I see where that could become an issue.
Yeah, I get that. What? Go ahead.
I was gonna say we'll move on from the line talk. We feel like we talk about it.
Yeah, we beat it to the ground, so we can move on. We can go one of two ways. We'll stick with bocce right now, and then we'll switch to something else. But I want to talk. Do you like? What are your thoughts on flights? Do you consider flights a real tournament, or double eliminations right through the way better, or is round robin the way to go?
So, I'm good with flights. I'm good with double elimination straight through. I think the flights are kind of screwy to me because I don't really necessarily think you're going to have your best teams or your teams that, there was, what tournament was it? I think it was NEO. 3 teams were 3-1 in the flight, and the one team didn't make it because of a point differential. I don't like when that comes into play. I'll tell you what I am not a fan of is the coming back undefeated thing. I'm not a big fan of that.
Do you think they should be the same record?
If you lose a game, you should keep that loss. I mean, you can win a tournament with 2 losses. It's you essentially you have to lose 3 times in some. You could lose 3 times in some of those tournaments and be in second place. And I don't know. I'm not the biggest fan of that. I know a lot of people are going to that, and I'm sure that that helps with the draw and whatever. I'm not a big. That's the one I'm not a big fan of. The brackets, the brackets. I mean, it's great as long as people don't pick and choose. Oh well, the Bocce Bros are in this one, so I'm going to play in this one because I know I can beat them. As long as you stay, as long as everything stays consistent and you stay away from that, like it has been forever. Yeah, I'm good with that.
Yeah, I think it's important.
I love the straight through. I love the straight through, and I know it can be a lot, but I love it.
So when it comes to flights, I think it's important that the tournament runners don't share any information as to who's in what flight.
Correct.
That used to happen. I know it still probably does happen.
Yeah, Chiavetti. He did. I give him so much shit for doing that at Lorenzino's.
Yeah, I mean you can't. People were switching days, and it's too much.
He dropped.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. I don't know if people do it. I don't want to blame anybody for doing it. I'm sure people have done it, but.
So when we first started, our first tournaments were bracketed, and it was cool because we got to see everybody, got to meet everybody, got to hang out. Everybody's there, similar to not similar, but yeah, it is similar to what we're going to do at Molisani, right? We're going to see everybody. And then we played in a flighted tournament, and I was like, oh man, like the energy is just kind of, it's different, which makes sense, and I get it. A lot of tournaments have to do that if they want to get X amount of teams, and have that kind of tournament. So. But yeah, I would probably say I like bracketed. What do you like?
I don't give a shit. Yeah. Give me it all. I like flights are easier to make for me.
That's true. That's a good point. The pros of flights are you can pick and choose. And
I get that. Definitely. Like there's flights where it's just all stacked up. Like you got some out of town teams coming in who are really good. On Saturday evening or Saturday morning, and some good ones don't make it to Sunday. But at the end of the day, you have to play through the best teams on Sunday. So it's still worth something, but I get all the points made.
What are your feelings about coming back undefeated on a Sunday?
I prefer the undefeated on a Sunday just because I'm more likely to have a loss on my record. Plus, what sucks is traveling to, depending on where you're from, you have to come back Sunday only to maybe play one game. Not a good mentality to have. I wouldn't recommend that mentality. However, it is the reality of it.
Right. I mean, I see that. I see the playing one game thing, and that part does suck. But
win, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, very valid points.
What else we got? Are you an NBA playoff guy, or you're?
I am. I love the NBA.
Really, a lot. Okay, a lot of Cleveland guys I talk to hate the NBA and LeBron James.
I do. So, I've always been a Cavs fan from when I was a little. When I was young. My dad would take me to games at the Richfield Coliseum. We saw Jordan play there a couple times. I've been a huge NBA fan, forever. Always loved the Cavs. So, of course, man, I've been loving watching the playoffs. And I mean, FanDuel makes everything better too. So
Yeah, right.
yeah,
I love that. What
it's,
so who? I mean, Anthony Edwards is a dog. He's down 3-1.
yeah,
Chances are very, very small.
0.
But let's
I'm a
say,
big Doncic. I'm a big Doncic fan.
yeah,
I'm a big Jokic fan.
yeah,
I don't
just
know. I
European
just
players.
Two
guy?
white guys.
Yeah.
I mean, I yeah. I mean, it has nothing to do with race, Chris. But no, I like their style of play. I do. I like,
Yeah,
you know,
it's smooth.
I like
It
the big guys that can shoot the three. I like the big guys that can, make the pass. I like that.
makes sense.
Even though it hurts, I'm happy to see Kyrie's he's back. There's a lot of drama around him. From his time even late in Cleveland, all the way through until really he got to the Mavs.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
I just say that because I'm not talking about him as a person or his political beliefs or anything like that. It's more just the type of player he is so much fun to watch.
Yeah, he's so good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. These guys come into the league at 18, 19 years old. I mean, they're kids, so it's pretty wild watching, Kyrie's what, 30 now? Close to 30?
Has to be, yeah.
Close to 30. It's crazy. It's crazy to do it as long as they do and just get better with time. I don't know, man. Hopefully that's how our bocce game goes, Hopefully in 15, 20 years
I could be like Pete
I'm playing in my prime. Yeah.
Yeah, what's a bocce prime? Like 50 to
80. Yeah, if you're
Well, I mean, prime. I guess your prime can be all over the place.
right.
Some people are peak early. Some people peak late. Some people don't peak at all. Again, I could get you a list of everybody that peaked early, late, and not at all. But I don't know how long you guys have.
Yeah. Well,
Hey.
I think we can all agree we don't want Boston to win.
Yeah.
Oh no, it's
Screw them and their fan base.
Yeah.
The
yeah,
worst. The worst.
yeah, it's. I mean, I'm pretty sure Boston's gonna win. But
Yeah.
it's
I don't
just-
know. I think Dallas will give them a run for their money if they can make it out.
I don't know. Porzingis coming back. That adds a lot of size.
Is he coming
I don't
back?
know.
So there's
Yeah,
some good
they
sorry.
said he'll be back.
Yeah, there's some good stories there because Porzingis wasn't happy with the Mavs, so he went to the Celtics. And same with Kyrie. He was on the Celtics, had some drama there. Their fans don't like him, and now he's playing for the Mavs. So if that is the matchup, that'll be
I mean,
some
it'll
good.
be a ratings dream, I'm sure.
Yeah, funny how the NBA works that way.
Isn't it? Isn't it crazy?
Yeah.
That's true.
So I have a
Everyone
story.
got injured. Oh, go ahead.
A buddy of mine he hasn't played any tournaments, only like some of the local ones we have here. He sent me and Dante a text. He goes, "Hey, I just got this message from a friend of mine in Chicago. He was at the Chicago airport.
This is tea.
This is tea.
This is tea time.
He was at the Chicago airport, and this was several months ago. And he goes, the couple next to me keeps bashing Ohio Bocce and bashing you guys. So I don't know if they meant like the Bocce Bros or just obviously Ohio Bocce in general. And then he took a picture of them, so we know who it is. We're not going to call him out, but it was just hilarious how this guy who a friend of a friend who's never played bocce, he just knows bocce through his buddy and like our posts and stuff. His ears perked up and he sent us that. So
I think that's hilarious. You're in the airport and you just start hearing bocce, Ohio.
yeah, and those two were probably like, no one
Yeah.
this isn't gonna get back to them, Little do
Yeah,
you
it's
know,
so
we have
funny.
eyes and ears everywhere.
Hey, you never know. You never know who's listening.
Yeah.
Never know who's listening.
Mm-hmm.
So what's the Bocce Bro schedule? Are you guys are playing all the majors, I'm assuming? You guys are in for the Sapulo tournament?
So Carmen gets married this year, and so he's
Okay.
out on a couple, but for the most part playing. This upcoming week we got a.
I'm so excited.
This is the greatest addition we could have if Carmen can't play, or if any of us can't play. Ronnie Capagreco.
Oh, nice.
So we love Ron. Always had a good relationship with him, and looking forward to playing with each other.
So what's cool about that is when we started, there were a few people who
We're welcoming.
gravitated toward us, And Ron was one who would always watch our games, and he'd look over at us, and he'd be like,
Give us tips as
give
well.
us tips, and especially after the games, he'd be like, hey, why would you go this? Why would you throw this ball? Like, you should have thought about this or that, right? Which we always appreciated. And we always talked with him about trying to find a tournament. So we're pumped that, we were able to find this one with him.
Yeah, without a doubt.
That's awesome.
So that's one of
That's awesome. So Ron Cap. So Ron Cap is one of the originals that we used to play against in tournaments, and I'm talking when there was, 12 teams in a tournament. So I've known Ron for 20 years now. I mean, it's
JJ's.
Yeah. Well, before he was with JJ's, he played with Carmen a lot. I can't remember Carmen's last name, but
Okay.
he was always playing with those guys from Warren a lot. But Ron was, you always hated playing Ron. You're like, damn, we gotta play him. Same thing, he played last week. You're like, damn, you gotta play him. But
he's good. He has a lot of energy. He's a little intimidating if you don't know him. Like he's aggressive.
Those guys made us better. Made us better bocce players playing against that better competition. And on a side note, I get to play with Ron Cap for the first time in my career this year too.
Where at?
So that'll be pretty fun. At the Sapulo tournament.
Oh, the JC.
Yeah. He's Frank. Joe Z backed off the team. He's playing with his BU team or something along those lines, and Frank picked up Ron. So
That's great.
I'm not going to complain.
Heck no.
Who's getting beat in the background over there?
Oh, that's my wife's chopping vegetables at 9:45 at night.
That's hilarious.
I don't know what she's making, but she might. Who knows what she's cutting up there?
It's such an Italian.
So maybe it's
household.
hopefully it's some watermelon. Doesn't sound like it.
Sounds like carrots.
Could be carrots. Joanna, what are you chopping up there? It is carrots.
I know the sound of a chopped carrot.
That's hilarious.
You would think she was chopping them right next to me.
Other tournaments. So after that, we have Mount Carmel. I don't know if this is in order, but we're playing with us three and Paul Cugini.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah. And then Cleveland Challenge Cup.
I don't remember. I couldn't tell you what's next tournament.
I know Carmen can't play in the Cleveland Challenge.
Oh yeah,
Cup.
we got our boy Anthony LaBarbera. We're flying
nice.
him out. We
Oh,
had to pay him a couple hundred in fees, but he agreed. That's our guy. Shout out to Anthony.
I would just make Cugini pay for him.
Yeah,
And he wasn't the one who was talking smack about us in the Chicago airport. So he's on the good list.
But no, yeah, I'm looking forward to that. One, he met his family and him make great grappa. His dad actually, in the story where Dennis and ABV formed, if you will, as a team and had their big first win in Chicago at that Pins or whatever it was, it was against Anthony LaBarbera's dad.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, who's a great man. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to that tournament and playing with them.
What are you guys playing? Are you guys playing in the JEC?
Yeah, JC, same team.
And Carmen's in. Carmen, okay.
I believe so. I don't. You know what? It's tough to even think about what.
So we have an Excel sheet
Have to look at the Excel
throughout
sheet.
for like tournaments throughout the year, who can play in what tournament. And honestly, I haven't even, because we haven't played in a tournament in a while, we haven't like really talked about it. So Panico or Carmen?
Yeah, usually Panico plays with us, I believe.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure, honestly.
We'll see. We'll see.
I mean, it's funny talking about these tournaments, and next thing you know, they're going to be here. This year is just flying by, I feel like.
Yeah,
100%.
I mean, it's June already.
I was just
Right.
I got a text about being, and the thing is, people plan. You have to plan ahead nowadays because people get taken up so quickly.
Listen,
It's a war.
It's well, and then you feel bad sometimes too, because you're like, I would have played with you, but this person asked me.
No, 100%.
And then what's even worse, when the person that asked you backs out. I don't know if that's ever happened to anybody.
Fuck off, dude.
Happened to me.
Do they back out or do they play with another team?
No, they backed out. It was some wedding or something this
Thank
past
God.
week. And I don't
Talking about me. Yeah.
Oh, that.
Yeah,
Sorry.
Christine realized. Wait a second.
How dare they?
What was I just gonna say? We were talking about backing out of tournaments. What else? We were just saying a second ago.
We're talking about
people
us playing.
recruiting.
Oh yeah,
so far
recruiting. I
ahead of
just got
time.
asked to play in a tournament out in September, and I'm just like, it's crazier and crazier every year. I feel like.
Yeah, it's nuts. Billy was, I talked to Batters quite a bit, unfortunately, but he calls me today and he's like, "What's your plan for next year?" I said, "For what?" Okay, for bocce. I said, really? I don't even know what's going. I don't even know what day it is right now, man. Like I can't think that far ahead. I said, can't you go? Don't you have something to do?
Yes. Bill,
And
phone
no,
calls.
I mean, people want to be on good teams, and I get it. It's
Yep.
but these phone calls take place way ahead of time now.
Yeah.
It's tough when you don't have a solidified team.
Correct.
We talked about, us. We're kind of a hodgepodge right now just because of schedules and all that. But it's tough when you don't have like that core 4 or 5 guys. So I can't relate, luckily, because I have these guys. But when one of us or a few of us can play, it's like, okay, how do we go about getting people? And you have to schedule out like we've been talking about.
Yeah, it's very tough. And then like I said, you don't want to exclude anybody, but it's.
Some people are not good enough. NGE.
Oh man, that's a guy. Russ. He called me one time and said, "Hey, do you want to play?" And never called again. But
you know what? I got a text from Russ, and he's like, "Hey, do you want to play in a tournament with me?" And it might have been Pete.
Yeah, it was.
And I texted Dante and Kujini right away. I go, "Do you guys think he meant to text one of you guys?" I was like, only because obviously I'm confident in my skills, but
you just don't play in tournaments like we played.
Correct.
Tournaments.
So I'm like, it was kind of like out of the blue, and unfortunately, I couldn't that weekend.
No,
but
fortunately you couldn't because they went on to win it.
Yeah. So, but it would have been funny if I said yes, and then he realized he accidentally texted me.
Just stuck playing with you.
And you show up. That's pretty funny.
Yeah. We're about an hour in.
Let's ask the question, and maybe we talked about it already, but what's one of your favorite... sorry, I messed the camera up. What's your favorite bocce memory?
Oh, man. There's a lot of bocce memories.
So let me...
I can't think of the year. I'm trying to remember a year here. But probably the year we won the Sapulo tournament with Sapulo, and it was the first time he ever won it.
Oh.
And it was in memory of his brother. It was me, him, Dennis, and Tony Passanen from Ashtabula. That's probably one of my favorite memories, just, you're in your hometown, you're playing with your buddies that you've known your whole life, and you get,
That's a special one for sure.
Yeah, that was definitely probably, my favorite memory of bocce.
That's great. How old were you at this time, roughly?
I was heavier.
Well, that's how you judge your age.
Yeah, so I was under 30, so I was married. I think we were married. Had to be around 20, 25, so about 15 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, Dennis was a pup. Dennis was still a teenager. So
little chubby Dennis.
No, he wasn't. No, I think he slimmed out by then. I think the baby fat was gone.
Okay.
I actually have a pretty funny picture I'll share with you guys of Dennis from when he was a little chubby kid.
Please.
But, I'll share that another time.
There's this video that I always see of these. I don't know if they're Italian or not. These kids look Italian, and they're decked out in the finest like suits or tuxedos. And I always think of, because one has this like jet black hair, it's slicked back, and I always think of Croach and Dennis. I always send it to them. I'm like, this is you two, your first communion.
First communion.
Pretty funny.
That's our hotel. Shout out to Dennis. Every time we need a place to stay in Cleveland, he reaches out, and we haven't heard that from someone else on this call, but
no, we haven't.
Nice
What's
basement.
that? Listen, Dante got invited again to the party this year and texted me in April and said, "Oh, I just saw this message. The party's in December."
That sounds accurate.
So
that sounds accurate.
It makes you feel better. I get the same treatment.
Yeah, it's not just you; it's everyone. It's across the board.
You got to email them, you got to fax them, you got to text them, and then leave a voicemail.
Send a pigeon if you really need to get to me.
Right. So
well, Triv, is there anything else you want to touch on? We don't have to bounce now, but usually around an hour. You just don't want to take much of your time.
No, I appreciate you guys having me on. It's been a long time coming. We have such a good time down at the Slovenian home when we broadcast together and do all that stuff. Of course, it's always a little more fun when you're having a few cocktails. But
you're good on the mic, man. You're really good.
Once in a while. Like I said, tonight was different. I didn't have batters chirping in my ear the whole time, talking about the smoke shop and this person and that person. But
I love a good phone call from Billy.
Well, I'll tell him to call you tomorrow. When he calls me, I'm going to say, call
Yeah,
Dante. He wants to talk to you.
yeah. Let them know that
But
I do.
no, what you guys have done for Bocce and all this stuff that you guys do and bring together, it's been great. It's been, you know, I have 3, 4, 5, 6 friends from Columbus that I never thought I'd have. So
That's great.
Love that.
it's
Yeah.
it's pretty
Dude.
cool. I think back to the first time Cugini showed up for the Sapulo tournament.
Which was
think
a
he said it
while
was like-
ago.
I think he said it was like 13, 14 years ago, probably.
Man, it might have been.
I think it's almost 20 now, honestly.
Yeah.
Is it? Yeah, it's been a while. He was there digging trenches with us when we were trying to get the water out of the court one time. It was, but to see where everybody's come since then, it's incredible. There's Bocce's more than a game anymore.
Love
So
that.
100%. Thank you for the kind words. We appreciate that. And we started off hot. If I'm being real transparent here, with Bocce over the past 3 or 4 years. I don't know how many years we've been doing this, but we do it on the side of what we actually do in life. But this year we've been a little slow, but just know that we have some things in store that as we get through the summer months into the colder ones. But we're excited to be back in the swing of things now that tournaments are picking back up. At least the bigger ones, and we're looking forward to seeing everyone outside. Like I said, we have some exciting podcasts coming up being recorded at Club Molisani and before that.
Yeah.
But we're excited to get out there and make sure you reach out to us if we're coming to a town near you.
Yeah. And we also have some exciting guests that play bocce, but they're probably not known in the circuit. So keep an eye out for that. I think one of our goals is to obviously speak on bocce, but we want to touch on our Italian heritage and just really anybody that we think is just fun to talk to, has a good story to tell. So
we also got
tuned.
2 new courts. Sorry to cut you off there. And 2 new courts coming to Columbus, Ohio, that are going to be very close to Northeast Ohio courts. Let's call it like a Jerry's court or a nice. It'll be covered outdoor, but it'll be all year round, and about 62 by 10 feet. We'll have leagues all week. And if you're a Columbus listener, which I don't even know how many Columbus listeners we have, but stay tuned for more of that. I know the Bocce Bros will be involved in kind of marketing and running some of those leagues.
We'll throw a tournament.
Yeah, and the point of that is we'll have an actual legit tournament with the similar courts that you guys will like and have a good time at that bar as well.
yeah, looking forward to that. Be a good time,
Mike, as always, man, we appreciate it.
gentlemen.
Look-
Thanks for having me.
Looking forward to seeing you next weekend.
Yeah, can't wait.
All right, man.
Have a good
Jen
night,
Don.
guys.
Good
Take
night.
care, Mikey.